Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov chess channel and welcome to the most electrifying match of the Aimchess Rapid in 2023. We have here the clash of the titans in the super final. We have here the epic match between Wesley, so the beautiful, intuitive, sharp attacker against the positional beast, the boa constrictor, Magnus Carlsen. So in the super final they had to play 4 rapid games. In the first 2 games Magnus took the win. In the third game Wesley so turned things over, which meant that in the game 4 that we're following now, Wesley had to win the game in order to force additional games, maybe also later the so-called Armageddon game. So let's see now what happened in the game 4. Incredible game it was. Pay good attention and always remember that this is fast time format chess, which makes, I think, this game that you see now really incredible, really almost impossible how many things these two top grandmasters can see. So in my opinion, really beautiful and epic game for sure. So let's check out now the game. Put your seatbelts on with the white pieces. Wesley opened with the move c4, the English opening, knight to f6. After a couple more moves, the game basically transposed into the semi-tarrasch defense. Now Magnus spiced it up with the move a6. The idea about this move is if you play now a bishop's move, then we'll simply play d takes c4, after bishop to c4, then b5 and then c4. So you get an extra tempo against the bishop on d3, for instance, place, and then d takes c4, takes, and then b5 and similar stuff. So that's why here Wesley so undermined the pressure in the center of the board, released simply the tensions that were created by this pawn storms. We have now e takes d5, g3. Now a beautiful idea here by Wesley so to play in sort of a Catalan style to simply get the bishop fianchettoed and then of course to create madness on this long diagonal. So now Magnus changes simply the fully dynamic of the game. He plays now the move c4, and this move is very important in order to understand what basically is going on, because after move c4, notice that the pawn structure is now blocked out. When you have blocked out pawn structure, this means that the knights are at least equal to bishops. In the beginning, bishops are maybe slightly better because you don't want to give up your bishops in an early stage of the game, I think, if you don't have any good reasons to do so. But now I think the knights are equal to bishops, especially because there are many squares that can be taken by the knight. For instance, you hop knight to b4, knight to d3, knight to e4. You play bishop to b4, hit the knight, occupy the e4 square. From white's perspective, you want to play knight to e5, maybe knight to a4, knight to c5. So suddenly I think the knights could find good opportunities in the games, which makes, I think, here the next moves by Magnus Carlsen really logical, because he plays bishop to b4. He wants now to hit the knight on c3, and as we said, play even something like bishop to f5, and then maybe occupy the weak e4 square. So in the game, kingside castling. Now Magnus goes kingside castling. Here, for instance, bishop to c3 is perfectly fine if you want to do this kind of a line. So that's what I mean. The knights are equal to bishops, or maybe even slightly better, because after b takes c3, look at this, castling, you play of course maybe bishop to a3, rook to e8, and now bishop to f5 controls the e4 square. The knight will come on e4. So in my opinion, the bishop's activity is not so dangerous anymore. Okay, you took now this diagonal, but you're not attacking anything. Your bishop is aiming into air. So in my opinion, so far, good opening choice here by Magnus Carlsen, and so far he has equalized the game for sure. Here, castling by Magnus, he's trying to keep the game still more complicated. He doesn't want to trade off the pieces too early. He wants, of course, to keep more opportunities to maybe create attacking chances in the later stage of the game. So knight to e5, rook to e8, bishop to d2, knight to c6. We have here a3, and now again here bishop to a5 by Magnus. But I think again bishop to c3. Nothing wrong with this move. Again, bishop to c3, and now you play on the same pattern, bishop to f5, maybe then knight to e4. But again, I think a better choice here by Magnus. He's again saying, I'm not rushing. I have my options here around the square e4. I don't want to rush. I don't want to trade off too many pieces in an early stage of the game. So b4. Now he has to, I think, make a reaction. If he goes something like bishop to c7 in order to maybe hit the knight here, then Wesley could maybe play some ideas of f4, fixing his structure around the square e5. So that's why Magnus took it. We have here knight takes c6 by Wesley. So b takes c6, queen to b3, and now Wesley, as I said, the knights are very good here. He's also trying an idea, knight to a4 and then knight to c5, occupying the weak square c5 that he provoked now in this tactical sequence, but also we have to say Magnus has now a weak backward pawn on c6. But now I think Magnus from this point on shows his great position, but also his great attacking understanding. He's playing now a beautiful move h5, pardon me. So he notices, of course, that Wesley has several light square problems here, and notice when he played now, when Wesley played the move knight to e5, knight to c6, he left simply the defense here of the king a little bit. So far, this danger it's not so dangerous, this attack that Magnus Carlsen is playing, but he wants to undermine here the pawn chain in front of White's king by pushing even the pawn further here to h4. So Magnus is not losing any time here, he's simply attacking the position immediately. So we have queen to c2, Magnus pushed the position further, h4, rook from f to c1. Even if you play something like knight to a4, this would be a good, I think a good, maybe in some lines, a good line for White, giving up your bad bishop here, which is really blocked out by your own pawn structure for this amazing bishop. But even after bishop to d2, queen to d2, the problem is now knight to e4 is going to happen. And I'm not sure if you ever are going to, I don't know, give up the bishop for a knight here, then rook to e4 or d takes e4 is going to happen, bishop to h3, and in the next couple of moves, I think you will get destroyed on light squares by the activity of black's pieces. So as I said, this whole concept that is basically playable in TimeControl defense, and I played it many times with the white pieces, but in a different line when it was a different position, but it's a common idea. Knight to a4, knight to c5, and also of course we're attacking the c6 pawn, but this is not working. As we said, bishop to d2, knight to e4, very dangerous. So that's why rook from f to c1. So here Wesley is still trying to do this idea in a different way, but also hit for the pawn on c6. So we have h3 by Magnus, bishop to h1, bishop to g4. Now Magnus occupies, of course, the weak light squares. We have here knight to b1. Now Wesley is trying to, after bishop to d2, to play knight to d2 in order to control further the e4 square. But now after move knight to b1, again Magnus is teasing here a little bit Wesley, so he's playing now the move bishop to b6, and this is the perfect move. This is really brilliant what Magnus is doing. He's leaving the c6 pawn unprotected, but look what happens if you play queen to c6. And again, I'm pointing out, this is rapid chess. This is not, I don't know, a classical time format chess when you see players walking down the hall and then they drink some water, then they watch some other games that the top grandmasters are playing. No, you don't have time, and Magnus calculates everything in a good way. For instance, if you play queen to c6, this wasn't played in the game, but look what happens. You get this stunning idea, bishop to d4. You play e takes d4, but now the e file gets liberated, and the problem is your rooks are disconnected. Now you hit the queen. If you play something like rook, queen to c8, look at this, we simply take it out. There are back rank problems, so it's game over. Here we can of course take out the queen with the bishop. If you play queen to a4, if you step back here, then rook to c1, bishop to c1, or rook to e1 is simply winning the game. Beautiful, really teasing move here by Magnus Carlsen, move bishop to b6. Really impossible so far for Wesley to take out the pawn on c6. So that's why bishop to b4, knight to e4. That's the move that we have been waiting for. It was the whole concept was based, I think, around this move, but it's now a different story. Magnus occupied it without even giving up the bishop for a knight on c3 that we have seen in the beginning. That was maybe a possible idea. Now after knight to e4, Wesley got annoyed by this powerful knight, and now after rook to e4, now look at this. Light square problem from this point on. I think the game is a one-way ticket in black's favor for sure. So knight to d2, here the rook gets challenged, Magnus steps back, queen to d3, we have queen to f6, queen to f1. Wesley is desperately trying now to somehow protect the light squares. Rook to e8, rook to b1. Now Magnus controls, of course, also the b file, competes on the only open file that's possible now. Here we have bishop to c5. Again, Magnus keeps the pieces on the board. Really good choice here. Again, Wesley is trying to trade it off, but now bishop to c7 in some lines. Maybe there are even some tactics with bishop to g3. So far, not possible, but if you maybe play something, I don't know, f5, g5, f4, and similar stuff with the support of the bishop, this could be dangerous for sure. So bishop to c3, a5, f3, bishop to f5. A provocative move here by Magnus forces here Wesley so further to weaken his structure in front of the king. Magnus steps back, Again, he forces, basically, as I said, Wesley to expose himself. Although Wesley is getting some activities with his pawn, but now Magnus steps back, and now after rook to a1, now c5. Now he's challenging the position. Now, when you played f3 and similar stuff, now your dark squares are vulnerable. You had already a light square problem, so it's becoming now a perfect game for the bishop pair. So queen to f2, c4. Again, a beautiful boa constrictor move here by Magnus, paralyzing simply the whole queen side. We have g4, and now an amazing move f6. This move is splitting simply the pawn chain. You could maybe here do f4, but look at this. In order maybe to protect somehow your grip around the square e5, but now the g4 pawn is hanging, and this could be devastating. So that's why king to h1 by Wesley. He simply steps back, but now notice that the king is cornered, and in some lines there are even some back rank checkmate threats. This is very important for the continuation of the game. A very important pattern will happen in the later stage. So we have f takes e5, d takes e5. Now the long diagonal is liberated here for the dark square bishop, bishop to d4, and now Magnus finally traded off the bishops here, because he realized in this whole mess that he created now two connected pass pawns that could roll here on the c and d file, and it's now devastating because after bishop to d4, queen to d4, queen to a7, very important move, getting rid of the key defender of the blockade, because the queen is creating the blockade against his pawns, so the pawns cannot roll. Now Magnus is forcing the trades of queens, and now he can also occupy the b file, and the knight cannot get to b3 or on f3. If maybe the knight here of whites would be on d4, just imagine this position. This would be, I think, playable for white. But Magnus sensed really the position in a beautiful way. The knight cannot come on b3, on f3. You would love, of course, to play this maneuver, but it's not possible. The pawns are rolling here for sure. And as I said, you have still this problem with the king that's paralyzed by the beautiful pawn on h3. Really amazing positional play by Magnus. So rook to c2. Now comes this idea d4. Really cool move, because after knight to c4, rook to c8 pins the knight. You have to now protect further your knight on c4. Now after move d3, you have to play rook to c3. This is everything forced what Magnus is doing, but this is immortal. This is really beautiful. This is really incredible. Rook to c4, rook to c4, bishop to c4, rook takes c4, d2 threatens the promotion, rook to d4, and now rook to c7 is simply winning the game. Really forced, beautiful tactical sequence. If you play, of course, something like king to g1 in order to prevent this background checkmate, then of course look at this, rook to c1, you step back, and now we promote here to queen. You have to sacrifice the piece, and this is game over. We'll simply take out this pawn. This pawn is rolling, and then again, messed up game for white for sure. But from rook to c7, Wesley so tried this idea, allowed in a fair way Magnus Carlsen to deliver checkmate, rook to c1, rook to d1, and now of course rook takes d1 is a beautiful back rank checkmate. So incredible game by Magnus Carlsen. Again, I'm pointing you out, this is rapid chess, and again Magnus pull off here really an incredible game, almost a Stockfish 16 performance in this game. If you put now this game into an analysis, Magnus played without inaccuracies, mistakes, or blunders. This is really crazy. This is really epic. I'm not sure what to say anymore about Magnus Carlsen's game. His accuracy was 98%. The average centi-pawn loss was 15. Of course, there are better maybe evaluations in other games, but this is really immortal what Magnus is sometimes doing in his fast time format chess. Incredible game, and he is now the deserved winner of the Aimchess Rapid 2023. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. I really enjoyed it a lot. This was really a beautiful tactical sequence in the end. If you want to see some other games from this beautiful chess event, you can also check out a couple of games that we have covered recently. And if you like this content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you soon with some more videos, and what do we say? Chess is the best, of course.